everyone, and welcome back. So today is True Crime Friday. Sorry about my hair, I just got out of the shower and I really didn't want to mess with it. So, today is True Crime Friday. We're doing Harry Houdini. I don't know much, but I know appendicitis was a part of it at some point in some way. So hopefully we'll figure it out today. I want to thank Buzzfeed for doing these videos and letting me do these videos. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we start, I forgot to mention, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for videos I post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And you tell me what you want to see. Okay, let's get into this. Harry Houdini.
This week on Buzzfeed Unsolved, we look into the legendary life and suspicious death of history's most famous magician, Harry Houdini.
I thought you were going to say David Blaine.
You think
Okay, I see that. But no.
David Blaine's more famous than Harry Houdini?
You saw the balloons, right?
I was a little bit of a freaky kid.
Well, I mean, that's a given.
I was a frequenter of the Houdini magic shop.
You're a big Houdini kid.
I was a big Houdini kid. I wish I could have seen this guy perform magic. Obviously, I can't because he's dead. That's why we're talking about it.
But he did. You know?
Should we find out what happened?
I mean, we better, yeah.
Let's get into it.
Harry Houdini was born Erich Weiss in Hungary in 1874. When he was 4, he emigrated to the US with his mother Cecilia and 4 brothers to meet with his father Herman, who had already moved to the States a few years before.
Wait, hold up. So Cecilia and Herman moved to the United States and then their children moved. I've heard of a case like this before, but usually the kid was, in the case that I heard, the kid became a serial killer. Yeah.
They settled in the town
very different from Harry Houdini
of Appleton, Wisconsin, where his father was a rabbi at a small reform
That makes sense.
congregation.
That makes sense.
The family's relative poverty imprinted a drive to be successful on the boy who would be Houdini. By the age of 9, in part to help support his
As
family,
always.
Eric began working as a trapeze performer in circuses. In 1882, his family moved to New York City, where Eric began performing in vaudeville shows, then considered to be the top of the entertainment pyramid. Though, at first, Eric didn't make much impact.
I know it worked out in the long run, but if I'm Herman,
Yeah.
you know, toiling to provide for my wife, Cecilia, is that her name?
Yeah.
Your
Fair.
boy comes to you and says, I'm going to step up, help out the family. I'm going to pitch in. I'm going to get a job. I'd be like, you're the best son. What are you going to do? I'm going to be a trapeze artist.
I can't blame him. I mean, I'd probably say about the same thing. I'd probably be like, wait, what? I thought you were going to work at the corner store, my man, but you're going to be a trapeze artist. Let me know how that works out. I mean, I'm sure there's money in it. I just don't know how much is in it. And the death rate, I'm sure, is probably huge if you don't know how to do it correctly. So
I'd be like, get out of my house.
maybe
In
not get out of my
1891,
house.
a 17-year-old Eric and friend Jacob Hyman created an act that included a basic set of card and magic tricks called the Brothers Houdini. In 1892, after the death of Eric's father, the Brothers Houdini took their show on the road, performing at dime museums and small theaters. In 1894, Eric married 18-year-old Wilhelmina Beatrice Rayner, or Bess, who became his stage assistant. The pair toured as the Houdinis, but life as traveling performer.
I love that he found a wife and that she was into the same stuff as him. Although I will say this, looking at these two pictures, Harry Houdini's picture is creepy. Very creepy.
Was hard. In 1898, the 25-year-old Houdini considered quitting the business altogether.
Aww.
burnt out from years on the road.
You're getting
I
on
can see
trains
that.
left and right. Chugga chugga choo choo. Hard to fall asleep on those things. Can't even get a good night's sleep. Wake up, you're in Cleveland. Huh? Wake up, you're in Boise. Time to do magic. Time to do magic. Time to do magic. Can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
I can see that being very hard on someone. I mean, it's hard on celebrities or artists who go around and sing, do concerts, and go around on tours and stuff. It's hard for them. I mean, but it can also have some perks to it. So I guess it just depends on your point of view.
Imagine if you woke up in Florida. Time to get back on the train.
Please! Mosquitoes the size of bats! Get me out of here! That's the part of the biopic where it's just
I've never
montage
been to
waking
Florida,
up. It's like, what's
so I
sitting in my
wouldn't
head?
know.
They're like, do magic, you son of a bitch!
In 1899, while performing in a beer garden in St. Paul, Minnesota, Houdini caught the attention of one Martin Beck, a man of influence in the world of vaudeville. After watching Houdini escape from a pair of handcuffs, Beck gave Houdini a pair of his own handcuffs to try to escape from.
Who has
Houdini
handcuffs
did
on
so with ease.
Gotta say, a little weird that this man is carrying handcuffs.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was my question. Who has handcuffs?
Yeah. Could you imagine if you're a magician on stage and you're like, voila, I've escaped. And then some guy in the audience is like, huh, try it with mine instead.
Right?
Little
Yeah.
pink fuzzy ones.
Oh,
Where'd
wait,
you
those
get
aren't yours. Try it with these instead.
Sorry, wrong
I-
pocket.
Nice.
Impressed, Beck put the Houdinis on the influential Orpheum vaudeville circuit, which meant the husband and wife would perform fewer shows but for more money.
That's a good freaking deal.
Houdini's
That's for sure.
profile began to rise as an escape artist, and he gained admiration for his skill at manipulating locks and pure brute strength.
Don't know if you know this.
Did he like go into like a science experiment or something and come out with a lot of strength? That's what I'm wondering.
But this guy was stacked,
Like Tom Hardy?
jacked. Dude was big. He's a moose.
Like,
Have you seen a picture of this guy with his shirt off? There's pictures
No.
where he's like leaned out, you know, like Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
Yeah.
Like that kind of look. But there's a
I want to look this up. I want to see a picture of this. Hold on. I don't know if they show it in here, but okay, I'm trying to find one that's like it doesn't show too much or show him bending over. Okay, well, I guess that works. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. But yeah, I can see that. He's not like John Cena, like ripped. But he has some muscle on him. Yeah. He's not.
there's other ones where
ripped,
he's like
though.
straight up Bane.
like human cloud.
Yeah. Guy's a goddamn transformer.
All right. Truckosaurus.
You'd think of magicians, you'd think of like sweaty nerds usually, like performing card magic.
Not-
in their
Nowadays,
basement.
yeah.
I mean,
They didn't have muscle tech back then, did they?
Not that I know of. I think he was just like eating raw meat, just going into the forest and biting rabbits' heads off.
Pulling it out of the hat.
Houdini also attracted thousands for the pure drama and showmanship of his performances. A typical act would see Houdini bound with chains and tossed in a box that was locked,
This is
roped,
typical?
and weighted, which would then be tossed into water. Houdini, of course, escaped
oh well, I guess that shows. He looks like he's got a dad bod right now, but
every time. In 1908,
I mean, from what I've heard just outside of this video, it seems like he could literally do anything and it wouldn't matter.
Houdini premiered his infamous milk can trick. First, a milk can filled with water was inspected by audience members. A handcuffed Houdini was then squeezed into the milk can, which was sealed with 6 padlocks. A curtain was drawn, and the audience held their breath along with the submerged magician. Within 2 minutes, Houdini would somehow break free and emerge from behind the milk can, with it still padlocked. In his lifetime, no one ever knew how he did it.
And that's how you become a great I was about to say musician. Magician.
How big is a milk can? Like,
No, he wasn't squeezed into a milk bottle. This is like
oh,
No. I could see a milk bottle, that'd be impressive. I'm just saying. Anyone squeezes into a milk bottle, that's freaking impressive.
bigger, like a barrel.
okay.
Barrel's probably more accurate.
I was about to be very impressed.
That would be crazy.
Right?
I would love nothing more to travel back in time and see him do some of this bullshit. You know he'd kill on YouTube these days.
He
Oh, hell
probably
yeah.
would, but then it doesn't have the same kind of awe because it's not in front of a live audience. It's easier to
Fair.
fabricate.
There's a lot of skeptical people, especially when it comes to supernatural stuff. Since you can do so much with videos, a lot of people are very skeptical on whether or not what is happening in the video is real. Especially when it comes to I keep wanting to say musician. Magicians with paranormal stuff. A lot of people are skeptic because it's on a video and you can do so much now.
Yeah.
Look, it's a trick, obviously, but the fact that no one knows how he did it, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
This
point.
is a trick that's over 100 years old.
Right?
You'd think by now someone would be like, yeah, he obviously did this.
I bet
right?
magicians know. They probably just don't tell anybody.
Well, not from my research.
You wouldn't be able to. You're not part of the league.
I wonder if Penn and Teller knows how to do it. They know how to do most tricks, and they're really good at their job, being magicians. So, I wonder if they know. They have a whole series of Penn and Teller. I think it's like Penn and Teller Tells the World or something like this, where they sit there and they watch magic acts, and if they know how to do it, you didn't fool them. Oh, it's Penn and Teller Fool Us or something like this. And you have to like do a magic trick, but figure out, they have to try and figure out how you did it, and if they can't, then great. You finally have a trick no one knows how to do. But if they can, oh well.
League? I've been to the Magic Castle 3 times.
They let anybody in there.
That's not what they told me. They told me that I'm the only person they've let in the Magic Castle in the last 20 years.
Yeah. How much did you pay to get in there?
They
Quite a
paid
bit.
me. They paid me.
That's not true.
It's true.
Ryan, is that true?
No.
Houdini had a penchant for not just creating his own amazing illusions, but performing other magicians' tricks as well. Only better. For instance, British
What? Hold up. He performed other magicians' tricks, but better. Wow. How petty are you?
magician Charles Morit pioneered a trick where he made a live donkey disappear on stage. Houdini paid Morit for the rights to perform the trick, and then figured out how to do it. But with an elephant. According to John Cox, author of the Houdini website, Wild About Harry, quote, "We still don't know how he did the elephant trick. He would Houdinize these more common feats of magic. His mind was always innovating, always inventing." End quote.
That would be like me saying, like, hey, nice turtleneck, Shane, asking you where you got it, and then the next day I walk into the office and my turtleneck is much bigger than yours. It's like,
Yeah,
the way
like
up-
I would
you're
feel
always
pretty
one-upping
devastated
someone.
If you complimented, and then the next day I just saw your judging eyes, just like,
oh, you like this turtleneck?
oh, this old thing?
Part of the reason why, more than 100 years later, we still don't know the exact tricks behind Houdini's performances is because he guarded his secrets so well. Though he was wary of imitators, Houdini didn't patent his tricks, since in the patent process, he would have to give a detailed explanation for how they worked. Those explanations would be publicly available
fair.
and therefore destroy the magic.
I get his logic. I mean, you don't want to destroy the magic, but you want to patent something, you want to make something yours, I'm sure there's ways to go around it. I know there's legal ways to go around it.
To get around this, for his Chinese water torture cell trick, Houdini staged the trick on stage in England as a one-act play.
Because plays their copyright. You put on a performance, it's immediately copyrighted by the owner of whoever did the performance. Meaning he doesn't have to say how he did it or what he did. He just has to show it.
Play with only a single person in the audience. This allowed him to copyright the act instead of patenting it, meaning no one else could perform the trick.
Exactly.
And how he pulled it off could remain
Exactly.
a secret.
Oh, that's so smart of him. Houdini was so smart.
How do they do that nowadays? Is it the same thing?
Yeah, they can be, I
What,
think.
in terms of keeping tricks a secret?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's some like inside baseball
mean-
stuff for magicians.
I mean, they could definitely do that. Honestly, that is a thing. They could do that.
Or
Yeah.
things that
Magicians, let us know in the comments.
well, I know because I'm in that,
No, you're not. You're not a magician. I've never seen you do magic. Wait.
Isn't that the
This-
best trick of all?
No, actually, that's not impressive. I guess if you're good enough, you don't even have to worry about copyright because who's going to figure it out?
That's
Nobody.
what I was just going
Nobody.
to say, yeah.
That's
If they
fair.
figure it out, good for them.
While Houdini cultivated an air of mystery around his death-defying feats, he never claimed his abilities to be supernatural. In fact,
Good, because I was thinking he was a wizard, and hey, he could be, but that would be the first thing a wizard would tell you. Oh, I'm not supernatural of any sort. I'm not a wizard. What? It's the first thing a wizard would tell you.
Houdini grew to detest claims of otherworldly powers, becoming one of leading critics of the spiritualist movement that was gaining momentum in Europe and the United States in the wake of World War I. In the 1890s, Houdini and his wife Bess dabbled in practicing spiritualism, attempting to summon the dead in public after
Okay.
researching names at local graveyards. It didn't take Houdini long to realize the entire practice was nonsense.
Do you agree?
I don't know about nonsense. So, I see it at the bottom. He's about to ask, do you
Think that?
agree?
No.
Oh, thought I got you.
So, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that it's all nonsense. I think there are people out there who are true and actually do have a sensitivity to the spiritual side. However, I also think that there are many, 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 many imposters out there and just want to do it for money because they can get people, they can get money. So I'm very skeptic on whether or not a person can figure it out or not. I think there are people who can. I know there's actually many people who probably can. However, that does not mean everyone who is looking to get paid knows how to do it or can do it. Just because they're wanting to get paid. However, that also brings it to light those who do have a spiritual connection to that side or can do that. They get criticized because of these fakes out there that claim they are for money. So it's kind of 50-50. I don't think it's nonsense because I do think it is a thing that people can do, but it is finding the people who do know how to do it kind of thing.
Look,
So talking to the dead.
we're going to get into this more later in
Okay.
terms of what I believe.
I'm very curious to find out your stance on life
Go.
after death.
You
I guess
know.
we'll just have to stay tuned.
According to famous magician Teller, quote,
There's Teller. I was talking about him earlier. What has
when
he
you
got to
are
say?
a professional magician, you want to see your art respected for what it is, not misused to mislead people about the universe.
Exactly. I agree. That is exactly right. And when if you are a really good magician and you're being compared to something that a lot of people in the world think is fake and not real, you're not going to like it because that's showing disrespect and saying that it's like he says, it's misleading. So I agree with him. I mean, everyone wants their profession to be respected, and when you're doing that, you're not respecting it. So go pin and tell.
End quote. Houdini would ultimately go on to attend seances undercover, exposing the mediums as simply skilled performers. He would also recreate their tricks at his own shows, asserting there was nothing supernatural about it. In all, Houdini spent years attempting to expose mind readers and mediums as con artists, duping.
To be fair, I appreciate that. I mean, there are maybe not all mind readers, maybe not all con artists, or mind readers. Exposing mind readers and mediums as con artists. Not all of them are. A good bit of them are, but not all.
An otherwise ignorant audience who might be suffering genuine grief. And while mediums and seances were no strangers to public doubt, Houdini's vendetta was personal. In 1913, while Houdini was
This gets personal.
in Sweden to perform for the royal family,
Ooh.
Cecilia Weiss, Houdini's mother, passed away.
Aww.
Houdini, a self-proclaimed mother's boy, was reportedly so stricken by the news that he fainted and wept uncontrollably in the aftermath.
Poor guy.
Though he had already concluded personally that spiritualism was a con, he nevertheless searched in vain for a real medium to try to contact his deceased mother.
Of course he'd be sad. It's his mother.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's his mother. He wants to do everything he possibly can to, say goodbye, especially if he wasn't with her at that time.
Heartbreaking.
This is important to point out, though, because it's not so much that he overall believes spiritualism is just not real. It's more that he believes a majority of the people who are practicing spiritualism, like mediums and psychics, all that, are con men.
And I actually agree. I think, there's a lot out there practicing it that can't practicing it that are con men. But there's also some out there that are not.
Flam men. I continue to respect him.
And here is where my belief aligns with his. I believe in ghosts, but I don't believe every place is haunted that claims it's haunted.
I also agree. I believe places can be haunted, but knowing if they're actually haunted is very different. I brought up earlier about how you can, manipulate video, and yeah, you're not wrong. You can manipulate video. However, that being said, some of these videos can be real, but because of speculation and because skeptics are like, oh, but you can manipulate it, sometimes it's written off as fake, even if it's real. And that's kind of why I would love personally to go to specific places to figure out myself whether or not they're haunted or not. Just because, yeah, you can have a place that's extremely haunted, and then you can have a place that people say is haunted, but really it's just the creaks in the buildings, or it's just an old lot and it makes noises, stuff like that. Not actually things. So.
Nor do I believe every medium is telling the truth, but I do believe in ghosts. So me and Houdini are a bit simpatico.
Yeah, Houdini believes 1% of things, and you believe 95% of things, right?
Yes, 3%.
I'm just saying, we've been to a lot of places, and
you seem to believe all of them, Ryan. But the ones I have gone to have been historically seen as haunted, so maybe not.
You seem to buy into a lot.
He does
Look,
buy into
I'm
a
trying
lot.
to conduct a very thorough investigation, and if I find anomalies, I'm going to report them. But that's not to say...
The problem is you find anomalies and you don't look for another reason it could be. And that's the whole point of doing stuff like that, is you find an anomaly, you look for a logical, scientific reason for it, and that's not quite what he was doing. Shane was doing.
And that every place we've been to has been haunted.
No, it.
And to prove it, I will name one place that is not haunted for sure that we've gone to. And that is, drum roll please,
In 1922, Houdini was invited
What's he about to say? Moon River Brewery. That's on my list. I don't know if that's real or what he was actually going to say, but that's on my list. That's on my list of people or places to go to.
to a seance being held by Lady Doyle, the wife of his friend Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
Sir
that's
Doyle
so cool. I'm so happy he's, well, not happy he's dead, but happy that he knows the author of Sherlock Holmes. I love Sherlock Holmes.
Through spiritualism, he could communicate directly with his son Kingsley, who had tragically died in the 1918 influenza epidemic. Further, Sir Doyle believed Houdini himself possessed supernatural abilities, something Houdini adamantly denied. Nevertheless,
That's fair,
it appears
based
Sir
off of
Doyle's
his
admiration for Houdini's otherworldly gifts was at least partially the reason why the two celebrities' friendship began.
yeah,
That's
so Doyle
awesome. That's awesome. I love that.
believed that Houdini was like a demon or something that had supernatural powers, and Houdini was like, dude, I just do magic.
I don't know about demon. I don't know if he could have, like I said, wizard. But I doubt a demon.
But
He
he
didn't-
refused to accept that?
And the guy was just like, nah,
No, you're magic.
you're holding out on me, bro. Well, I mean, I know the feeling as somebody who has a friend who's only with him because of his gift. I have the
You
vision.
have the vision.
And I have adamantly denied it over and over in many episodes on this
And
show.
yet I insist that you, Ryan Bergara, have the vision ever since you fell into that pile of brick.
I don't know what he's meaning by the vision, but doubtful.
It's a weird symbiotic relationship that I could kind of relate.
I feel like if he's talking about the vision the way I think he's talking about it, he would know more than he was, and he would know more than what he has in the past. In the past, when it comes to supernatural things and being at those places, he would know more. So doubtful.
To. So I don't have the
I
vision.
could be
His
wrong.
brain is cracked.
I could hear you just because you're.
Sorry,
You put
your brain is cracked.
At the seance conducted by Lady Doyle, held at the Ambassador Hotel in Atlantic City, the hostess rapped on the table 3 times and claimed to be in contact with Houdini's mother. Lady
Okay.
Doyle wrote out 15 pages of messages for Houdini,
Cool.
who thanked the Doyles and left quietly. While many may have scoured the pages for some comfort from a loved one beyond the grave, Houdini seethed. The pages were all in English, a language his mother never spoke.
Oh, well. Meaning, that's not his mother. Although, she could have been in contact with something else, acting as his mother. Which is very possible, which has happened multiple times. And not in the past with me, but with, like, different people. It is very possible that whatever it is assuming that it's this because that's what you want, kind of thing.
Let's say you're a Houdini. Oh God, I regret saying that because now you're going to take 10 minutes to get in character as Houdini, and apparently all that takes is you slicking your hair back.
Of course.
What in the name?
Yes.
This is Shane Day in his morning dump every morning. Yeah.
Empty this vessel.
Anyways, you're Houdini. This person's saying they're communicating with a dead relative. 10 seconds into the seance, you realize this is a blownster because they're saying they're speaking in a language that relative never spoke. It's
Yes.
very funny to me that Houdini sat there and let this person scrawl out 15 pages worth and didn't go like, she didn't speak English. The pettiness of this guy. I'm going to make this...
Like I said before, earlier in this video, this guy and his pettiness, 10 out of 10. Like, he is so petty.
Person like really sell it for like an hour.
Do you think he was seething, or was he sort of like,
You seething.
okay, yeah, because I'd be pissed.
So would you not say anything?
I would be livid, and I would want them to feel shame.
The seance with the Doyles seems to have been the final straw for Houdini, who now set out to expose spiritualists as frauds with renewed determination. Houdini had already written a book.
So it just added more fire to the flame here. That's pretty much what should happen. Or the gas to the flame. I don't know.
Miracle Mongers and Their Methods, a complete expose of the modus operandi of fire eaters, heat resistors, poison eaters, venomous reptile defiers, sword swallowers, human ostriches, strongmen, etc.
Wasn't he one of these people, like, originally? Because didn't they say he was a trapeze artist? Wasn't he one of these, like, it... Dude. Remember where you came from.
Which exposed the tricks and trades of various sideshow level acts claiming miraculous feats.
Yeah, he started off at the bottom of the barrel. What the heck?
Started off at the bottom of the barrel, doing a bunch of sideshow acts, essentially. Now here he is writing a book exposing all these sideshow acts. Like, what did the sword swallowers do to him? What did the human
Right?
ostriches do to him? By the way,
What does that mean?
human
What the
ostrich
fuck?
is a human who just eats anything, like glass or like a fucking soda can.
Now, my man David Blaine did that.
I'm just saying, it's weird for me to just have him go, I hate spiritualists. I'm going to come after every sideshow performer there ever was.
Yeah,
and make sure
really.
no one could perform except me.
Yeah, like... I'm coming back to Harry Houdini was freaking petty. So petty. Like, what? You started there. You did most of these things. Why?
Me.
Well, but at the same time, someone could take him down too. If they figured out his tricks, they could go after him, and nobody's doing it. So I guess he's the best. And if he wants to take everybody else down, then good for him.
Houdini followed that book up with A Magician Among the Spirits, a scathing expose on the spiritualist trickery. He also went
He's
forward
so
with a
petty.
40-page illustrated pamphlet dedicated to taking down one popular medium in particular, Boston's Mina Crandon, also known as Marjorie. The pamphlet was appropriately titled, quote, Houdini exposes the tricks used by the Boston medium Marjorie, end quote.
For as gifted as he was as a magician, not much of a wordsmith, this
No.
man.
Would have worked as
Definitely
a YouTube
not.
title.
That's true. A
I'm
little
clicking.
long. Could
I'm
have.
clicking.
Yeah, it would have worked. I mean, you know, he's taking down the medium Marjorie or spiritual... I don't know what she was. Marjorie.
He gets his
Word
name up front. You know, he's not just like, the fraud, Marjorie. He's like, yo, I'm in this one. Check it out.
Do you think Houdini would have been an expose vlogger in today's world?
Absolutely.
Big time.
With just thumbs of him going like,
Yeah.
like looking
Absolutely.
surprised with question marks
Definitely.
on it? Is Marjorie real? You'll never
Like,
believe what I
he-
found when I googled Shane Medeiros.
He was like the original, like, TMZ. He was like the original TMZ over here. Like, exposing everyone.
Houdini also began lecturing around the country about, quote, fraudulent spiritualistic phenomena, end quote, going so far as to testify before Congress in 1926, lobbying for a bill to regulate mediums and fortune tellers, potentially threatening to charge those, quote, pretending to tell fortunes for reward or compensation, end quote, with a crime.
I'm sure that didn't go too well. Because I'm not too sure how they would even know if they're pretending. Yeah, he figured it out through his mom not speaking English, but like I said before, that could have been something acting as his mother and saying that it's his mother. So it's very hard, very, very hard to figure out whether or not it's real or fake. And you could be charging those two those who are real not realize it because of it seeming pretend or fake.
Unfortunately for Houdini, his campaign would be a short-lived one.
Good.
On October 11th, 1926,
That would have been too much
Houdini
legal.
broke his left ankle during a performance in Albany, New York.
Ooh.
Being a goddamned professional, Houdini finished the performance and went against doctors' orders by traveling to his next set of performances in Montreal.
Look, I broke my toe before. It hurts. I mean, to be fair, I didn't think I broke it. I thought I just, it did a pop noise like how you pop your fingers. I thought it was just that, but turns out I broke it. The point is, yeah, but you had already, like, a doctor had already told you, do not do it, do not walk on it, do not do this, do not do that. I mean, I follow doctor's orders. Most people would follow doctor's orders. I don't know why he seems to think he's the odd one out that shouldn't do it.
While in Montreal, Houdini took time out of his schedule for one of his favorite pastimes, giving a lecture at McGill University about what fraudulent hucksters spiritualists were. After a matinee performance several days later, some medical students from McGill visited Houdini in his dressing room. One of the students, Jocelyn Gordon Whitehead, presumably because Houdini's reputation as a jacked dude with incredible strength preceded him, asked if he could punch the magician in the stomach.
Odd request.
Houdini said yes, but before he could tighten his gut, the student dealt a few fast and hard blows.
I just can't imagine going up to someone and be like, hey, can I punch you? And the person's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to punch someone, but, I mean, he did say it was okay, but you gotta give him a few seconds to get ready.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he was starting
Jesus
before
Christ,
he even
shit,
said
are you
yes.
dead?
Big fan.
I don't
Like,
know
it
about
sounds
that.
like Houdini couldn't even get out a syllable of yes before the guy was throwing a couple haymakers.
Right?
Like, he was just revved up. The whole show was like, sick trick. I'm gonna punch the shit out of that guy when I get the chance. And Houdini was
But
like,
first, I'm gonna ask.
Houdini began to complain of stomach cramps that evening. During a 15-hour train ride to his next show in Detroit, Houdini was
Go
in a
to the
great
doctor.
deal of pain, both from his
Go
stomach
to
and his
the
shattered
doctor.
ankle, arriving in the Motor City with a 100.
You're in a lot of pain. Your ankle is already broken. Doctors have already told you to don't do anything. Stay off of it. Now you're running 104-degree fever. At this point, I'm thinking it's his own fault for not going to the doctor. Doesn't matter if someone murdered him, if that punch killed him, whatever. At this point, it's his fault for not going to the doctor. Also, 104 fever, I'm sure you got an infection at this point. Like I said earlier, I think it's something about appendicitis. So, 104-degree fever, that would show up for appendicitis.
104-degree fever.
Usually inflammations are considered, usually have a fever connected to them. And appendicitis is literally an inflammation of your appendix. Literally.
A doctor was brought to the theater
Oh,
and
good.
diagnosed Houdini with acute appendicitis.
If this thing says, oh, he just walked it off and did his performance and didn't go to the hospital, but
and told the magician he needed to get to the hospital
Correct.
immediately. Houdini refused.
this is why I think he killed himself. He was in for it. So acute, obviously we know what appendicitis is. I just told you, an inflammation of the appendix. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be completely wrong, if so, tell me in the comments below what it actually means. But I'm almost positive acute means that it's, like, rapidly growing. Like, he needs to go now before he dies, kind of thing.
Apparently declaring, quote, "I'll do this show if it's my last.
It was your
End
last.
Oof.
Prophetic.
I think it was, but it was your
Yeah,
last.
I'd be like,
It was his last.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do this show.
Yeah, I'd be like, we'll cancel the show, bring it up in the next 2 weeks or something, you know. Come back. Give them all some merchandise or something. Come on, man. I would not be getting on that stage. I'd be going to the hospital
Go
immediately.
to the hospital.
Houdini somehow made it through the show, and
What?
eventually, his wife convinced him to finally go to a hospital.
That's a good wife.
On October 24th, Houdini had an emergency operation to remove his already burst appendix. He underwent a second operation on October 28th. But on October 31st, 1926, Harry Houdini succumbed.
I'm sorry, did you just say October 31st? He died on Halloween, 1926, from sepsis, I would assume, which, again, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think sepsis is a type of infection. I think. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I think sepsis is a type of infection. So if he died from a severe case of sepsis, I don't know how much there was saving him.
To a severe case of sepsis.
But I do, however, think if he hadn't let it go on that long, he would have been fine. He would have lived.
This is interesting because
But-
I always thought it was like, bam, and then he's just like, ow,
Yeah.
dead, R.I.P. I didn't realize it was so protracted.
Yeah, he did another show.
Newspapers
Right?
almost immediately began to speculate about foul play. With his final curtain drawn,
The only foul play here is the fact that Harry Houdini decided he did not want to go to the doctor. He did not want to go to the hospital. If anything, it's his fault. Oh, wait.
theories surrounding what brought down
Whoops.
history's most famous magician. Our first theory, and the most widely accepted, is that
Okay.
Whitehead's meathead desire to hit another person accidentally caused the appendicitis that led to Houdini's demise.
I don't know if it caused it, because, again, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think appendicitis is something that you can get from being punched in the appendix. I think you would have to be punched extremely, extremely hard for that. So, I mean, at this point, he might have had appendicitis or starting to have appendicitis, and then the punch just made it worse.
However,
I don't think-
according to a 2013 study in the World Journal of Emergency Surgery, appendicitis as the result of blunt force trauma is extremely rare.
Okay, so yeah.
To the extent that there is still debate whether it could ever happen.
Okay,
Of-
so yeah, I don't think I was right. Appendicitis is as a result of someone punching your appendix is extremely rare, and did it say it didn't? Like there hasn't been reports or something like that. But I feel like if he had appendicitis or starting to have appendicitis, like it was already there, but like not bad enough kind of thing, and then he punched it and made it worse, it sped up the process. I feel like that would be more plausible, but all in all, Harry Houdini did not go to the doctor and therefore probably killed himself by not going to the doctor.
Of course, there's still the possibility that Houdini was developing appendicitis independently of the punches.
Yeah, that's
Either
what
way,
I was talking
this
about.
theory postulates that Houdini was simply the victim of random bad luck,
Yeah.
and that refusing medical treatment certainly did not help matters.
No.
If
No.
your appendix is not doing great, and maybe doctors out there can holler at us and let us know, if it got punched, would it
would it make it worse?
make it
I
worse?
want to know.
I'm sure it wouldn't help,
No.
but
Definitely
like
not.
I just
but-
said, they're not even sure that it could be caused by blunt force trauma.
Well, I don't think it was caused. If he had appendicitis already, or had been starting, or I guess in their case developing appendicitis, would punching your appendix make it worse? Because, I mean, just knowing how the body reacts when you get punched in the first place. When you get punched and you get punched really hard, your muscles tend to swell up. Could it have, since it was already starting appendicitis, could being punched and that muscle swelling up to help relieve some of that pressure, could it have the appendicitis gotten worse or sped up that process? If you're a doctor, let me know, because I would love to know if that's actually possible.
Trauma. It's
Yeah.
possible that it was just going to happen regardless. In fact, this might have.
I mean, it could have happened regardless, but I wonder if it had sped it up at some point.
actually been, in a weird way, if you want to spin this, it could have been like a lucky turn of events if he went to the hospital.
Yeah, but in the same way, maybe it's unlucky because of the punch. He was like, well, I got punched, I'll be fine. Whereas if it would have happened without the punch,
True.
I see.
True.
He doesn't strike me as the kind of cat that would be like, stomach's hurting out of nowhere, gotta go get this checked out.
No, that's women.
He's probably more like, I've escaped from a milk can, I could do anything.
I guess, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
hubris.
I guess the opposite.
Go to the hospital if you're hurting.
Yeah.
Moral of the story.
Women hurt for no reason. Guys hurt, and there is no reason they go to the hospital. That's what I
Our
figured.
second theory is that Whitehead
So let's say you have to read an incredibly long email from your boss that you have to finish before the big meeting.
was an assassin sent to try to murder Houdini by punching him to death. Houdini
Then he wouldn't have just done a few punches and then stopped. Like, it. Plus, again, let's say that he did know that he had developing appendicitis, which there's no way of him knowing. Still, why would you use... There's a really low, minimal chance that you could kill this person by punching him. I don't think he
had
would have
no shortage
used
of
that
enemies,
if he was.
whether it was the other magicians he was constantly belittling, the individual mediums he was writing pamphlets discrediting, or the entire field of spiritualism that he was lobbying to make illegal. Perhaps someone got fed up with Houdini and wanted to prevent him from doing any more damage. Admittedly, this theory is a little weak.
A
As
little?
we already said, trauma-caused appendicitis, if it even exists at all, is very rare. So it would be a pretty ineffective assassin who chooses that as their preferred means of murder.
Yeah,
I
right?
will say, it's a very narrow window if this person was the perfect assassin to know that there's
I
a
doubt it.
0.001% chance that you could cause appendicitis from blunt force trauma, despite some people not even thinking that's possible. But
Right.
Whitehead was a med student.
Yes, but
still,
them saying that there's a very, very rare
he's a med
chance
student,
does
not a
not
doctor.
mean it's not like Smaug's scale that you have to shoot a little arrow into. It's just saying
Yeah.
like the likeliness of that happening
Yeah.
is almost impossible.
Like,
Right.
and-
Not that there's a very specific technique
yeah, like
to it.
they don't have posters at med school where they're like, all right, here's the kill zone right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
If you punch right here, this guy's appendix is going to go boom.
Our final
Right?
theory is that someone from the spiritualist underworld poisoned Houdini while he was in the hospital.
I don't think they would have poisoned him. I think because it's spiritualist. I feel like they would have like put a hex on him or something. I don't think they would have poisoned
Already
him.
mentioned the spiritualist community's potential motivation for assassination. And according to a Houdini biography, The Secret Life of Houdini, poisoning was their preferred method of murder. Despite receiving death threats, Houdini and Bess traveled without security. Apart from explaining why random med school students could punch him on a whim, this means there would have been plenty of opportunity for a spiritualist with a syringe to get to a Houdini while he recovered from surgery.
True.
Houdini was buried without an autopsy.
If you guys have watched a few videos already, especially the true crime videos, you have already figured out that the autopsy is the most important part, and when something happens with an autopsy, it can be almost horrible to finding what happened. Houdini was buried without an autopsy. Why the heck would you not do an autopsy? I don't care if he died of sepsis. I don't care if, the cause of death is sepsis. You do an autopsy. You look, you check, you make sure, you want to verify. Like, why would... People are stupid.
Meaning there is no evidence to disprove or prove
Exactly.
this theory.
The poison's weird
You
because
could have proved or disproved this theory, but you didn't because you didn't do freaking autopsy.
he was clearly in distress well before he went to the hospital. So at that point, yeah, I guess you could finish the job, but it seems like he was in pretty dire straits. So
Yeah, I mean, sepsis is not a joke.
nothing funny about sepsis.
Mm-mm.
I'm not laughing.
Seems like you're throwing down the gauntlet.
Sepsis. No laughs here.
What do you want from me, man?
Nothing. Just saying, we're not laughing at it.
I'm not. I'm laughing at you.
Are
not
you laughing at
I'm
sepsis?
laughing at you not laughing at sepsis, which is not something to laugh about.
He's laughing at sepsis.
I'm laughing at you not laughing.
Houdini's sudden death shocked the world. The New York Times wrote of the collective disbelief that Houdini, quote, who so often had seemed to thousands to be cheating the very jaws of death, end quote, could die from the likes of appendicitis. If some angry spiritualists were behind Houdini's death, their plan ultimately backfired. Even in death, Houdini worked to discredit their field, as he and his wife had agreed that when one of them died, the other would try to contact their deceased spouse. For 3 years, Bess tried to make contact with her late husband. No medium was ever able to relay their prearranged code.
That's smart. That right there, that's smart. That's nice. I like that. That helps. That helps. That's how you can prove whether or not someone's real or fake. Unfortunately, I do think, is Bess Houdini still alive? I doubt it. Bess Houdini. It says death. Died in 1943. I mean, she would have been like over 100 years old, but anyway, that, like, she tried. No one could ever do it. Now, as of now, there is no way whatsoever of trying to figure it out. I'm sure at the time, yeah. Now, I mean, unless someone famous, died and then had a prearranged code like this, there's not really, I mean, it's very hard to figure this stuff out. And that is a very smart way to figure it out.
Cool.
Which is,
Right?
I won't lie,
Baller.
baller as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we should develop some sort of code between us that if one of us dies, well, I'll tell you what.
Oh.
In the event of my untimely death, fingers crossed it doesn't happen. If it does, I will do everything
Fingers crossed that his death doesn't happen. I think it's gonna happen. It's just when.
in my power to prove that ghosts are real. I will show up at every haunted house and I will paint the walls with like, ghosts are real. This is Ryan Bergara. Suck it, Shane. Stuff like that.
It'd be funny if ghosts were real and you were on this mission and you died and you just went straight to hell.
Would you even hunt for me if I died?
No.
My ghost? Not even in my memory, just like one.
I'd like turn on the radio every now and then. You could do the thing that ghosts do, which is manipulate the airwaves.
What if you did a spirit box session and it was the clearest one ever, but it still sounded like
Hi, it's me, Ryan Bergara. I told you ghosts were real. Suck my balls, big boy.
I'd be like, I don't know, dude.
Since we're unable to reliably
That
communicate
sounds
with
like
Harry
something they
Houdini,
do.
the mystery of whether he was murdered by slighted fortune tellers or simply the victim of gastrointestinal trauma remains, like the secrets behind some of his amazing tricks, unsolved.
What I think happened was he probably was developing appendicitis, and then if it's a thing, please feel free to tell me in the comments below. The guy probably made it worse, if it can be worse. If not, well, still ending with the same result of he didn't go to the doctor. Go to the freaking doctor. And then they didn't do an autopsy, and Oh my gosh, this was just... They could have done so many more things. They could have done so many different things. Anyway, let me know what you guys want to see in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see as far as videos in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. I think that's about it. Have a great and wonderful day. Bye.